Hello, we got some people coming in. We're going to start right at 10, so everyone got a few minutes to chill, go grab you some coffee, whatever you need to do right now. Okay, so we still have some people joining. I'm going to go ahead and just do our little National Mortgage Bankers Association intros so that we don't cut into any of Toomey's time. But I'm Casey Lynch, the chair committee of the virtual engagement team, which is once again still new. This is actually our second meeting, our second webinar. So we're really excited to have some this coming month and the months after that. So I think it's a good facet that we have that anyone can join on. It's free. You can do it from your desk. You can do it from your home, wherever, even on the road. So I've done a few of those. But we wanted to thank Toomey this morning for joining us. We all know her as the THDA guru and the fashionista and also the best foster dog mom there is. So I think Toomey's actually fostered 50 dogs in total. Am I right on that? Yeah, couldn't be me, but that is amazing that you do that. I'm a cat mom, so I'm going to stick to that for now. But we're right on the dot right now, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Toomey. But before we do that, if any of you guys have any interest in becoming members of National Mortgage Bankers Association or any ideas or facets that you think we could add, please feel free to reach out to me or Matt Wright or Tiffany Wright, and we will be happy to, take those what's the word I'm looking for, ideas and topics that you have and add new things to what we're doing here. So Toomey, I'm going to go ahead and let you begin. And also any questions, pop them in the chat and I'll make sure that Toomey knows about them and so that she can get them answered for you while we're on this session.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Casey. I need all the help I can get this morning. Yes, good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone is, staying warm at 30 degrees this morning, but it's supposed to get to 60. I think my dogs will appreciate that when I take them for a walk. Let me share my screen with you. And you'll get a copy of this PowerPoint. I did some QR codes. I want to make this a useful tool, right? So resources, because really I don't want to talk for an hour and, it not be useful. So I do want this information to be useful to you. So let me share my screen. Let's see. Okay. Can y'all see my screen okay? Casey, give me a thumbs up and I'll get going. Perfect.
Yep,
Perfect.
see it great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So my name is Toomey Parrott. I'm the account manager for Middle Tennessee. I talk, breathe THDA, right? Home ownership for as many people as possible. I think it's a game changer. I think it's huge. And then, as Casey said, when I'm not talking home ownership and THDA, I am still talking home ownership, but for dogs. We foster dogs. We have number 51 at the house right now, Mocha. She's going up north to the perfect family this weekend. So we're super excited. And then we will be left with Butters and Biscuit, our two foster fails, aka successes, I think, right? So yeah, home ownership. I think it's a game changer. So we will get into just kind of what it looks like, what your options are. I will present to you today tools. How can you use this program? What does it look like, right? Who it can help and just all of that. And then some of the other available tools outside of THDA. Because if THDA, I've been talking about this like for 9 years now. 9 years. But I want you to be able to, figure out a way to share it, right? How do you get more buyers? How do you get more people into home ownership? So big picture, this is what I'll cover. There are three options to using THDA, right? Granted, we are the state's housing finance agency. We have over 20 different programs. But if you're, in the mortgage business, if you're a loan officer, right, we have three options for you. So this is what we'll cover. And granted, our option did update on February the 2nd, right? So instead of 6%, it's 5% capped at 15,000. So that did change. What has stayed the same is our 6,000 DPA option. That has remained the same. And what we are reminding our partners is, the third option that not everyone knows about, it's the rate, right? So if our rate is competitive, yeah, just use us for the rate as a standalone first mortgage. Yeah, forgo the DPA and use THDA just for the rate when our rate is competitive, right? So this is what we'll cover. This is the THDA options we'll get into agenda, what I'll go over. Again, helping you to market THDA, how to present this information so that it's digestible, so that it makes sense. Because how many homes does someone buy in a lifetime, especially for some home buyers? This is foreign to them, right? The language, the lingo, totally different than, layman's terms. So how do express these options to them so that it makes sense? Right? So we'll get into that. Again, my name is Toomey Parrott. I'm in Middle Tennessee. My counterparts, Rebecca, she's in East Tennessee. Juanita, she's out in West. And then our realtor liaison, Josh and Kelly. And then we all report up to Daryl. Let us know if we can help. So right now, of course, feel like lenders, realtors, y'all are gearing up for the spring buying season. So let us know, let me know if I can help train your realtors. I do 1 hour, 2 hour CE classes, and then our realtor liaison, they do the 4 hour classes, mainly through the realtor associations, but I'm sure something can be worked out there. So I will talk and I'll try to like slow it down. I'm from like Philadelphia, so I'm like, here's all this information I need to get out to you. So I will calm down and I'll talk slow. But THDA, yes, we are the state's housing finance agency. We're across the whole entire state of Tennessee, all 95 counties, right? We work with mortgage companies, banks. We partner with approved lenders, and we offer this down payment assistance program, right? We're not a direct lender, and only approved lenders can do THDA. So buying a home with THD, I did this just like for buyers because our site, it's, of course, it has lots of information. But for a buyer, what is it that they need to know? How do they use THDA? Because I've had some, they'll call and they're like, yeah, we want to do your program. And I'm like, awesome. Yeah, work with an approved THDA lender, right? Our lenders get them qualify for the loan while keeping in mind what our eligibility guidelines are. Yes, work with a real estate, professional that knows our program so there aren't any hiccups. Yes, we do require that the home buyer education class be taken, right? So with the loan officers' expertise and their agents and taking the class, then they too, like Casey, she'll close on her house on Friday. Yeah, house closing, right? So big picture, that's what the process looks like for a home buyer. Again, these are the options. So the 6,000, it's up to 6,000, right? Can be used towards closing down payment requirements. Um, so that's one of the options. 30-year second mortgage, it's silent, so no payments, no interest. So anytime that the buyer sells, refinances, moves within 30 years, exactly 6,000 will be due back to THDA. The second option, 5% of the sale price, and it's capped at $15,000. Okay. The rate will be the same rate as the first mortgage. And we'll take a look at that. I'll show you where to find it. If you're out and about working with your realtor, it'll be easy just to pull it up on the internet without going through all of our, webpage. So the 5%, 30 years, same rate as the first mortgage is a 30-year fully amortizing second. Okay. And as I mentioned, the third option, and again, it's not thought of often, but it is available. When our rate is competitive, yeah, THDA can be used as a standalone first mortgage, right? So if you have your phone handy or if you want to toggle between your screens, Google THDA interest rate. It's at your fingertip. Okay. You don't have to get on our webpage. You don't have to try to find it, in your email. So when you Google THDA interest rate, this, should eventually pop up once you click on the link. Just make sure it's today's date, right? And you can lock in the rates between 9 and 5:30. Okay, so this is a rate sheet for today. So we have looks like multiple rates, But if you're looking at it, the top of the screen has our conventional rate. It's, what is it, 7.25. So if you're doing the 5% option, it would be 7.25 for the first mortgage and for the second mortgage. If you're going the conventional route, right? The Freddie Mac with THDA's down payment assistance. If you're using the 6,000 DPA, of course, it'll just be 7.25 for the first. The second, silent, no interest, no payment. Towards the middle of the page, that is our great choice. That is our mortgage revenue bond program, right? The first is underwritten according to FHA, VA, USDA guidelines. So that's the great choice. And the rate is 6.5. Yeah, 6.5 for the first and the second if you're using the 5% option. And then there's that lower rate. It's always half a point less. That's our Homeownership for Heroes program. Heroes such as military borrowers, such as firefighters, police officers, EMTs. Their rate is always half a point less. Okay, so that's where you can find our rates. So the second part, once you figure out the DPA option, or if you're using us just for the rate, right? What does the borrower need? The second part is where do they fit best? We have the mortgage revenue bond program. That's the great choice. Again, it's FHA, VA, USDA underwritten with some of our overlays, right? Or would they fit better, under the mortgage-backed security program? That's the HFA Advantage, and that's Freddie Mac underwritten. Some huge differences. With the bond program, yes, they do have to be a first-time home buyer. We have a couple of exceptions. If they're a veteran or if they're buying in a targeted area, they don't have to be, right? But if you're going conventional, that's not a requirement. So they don't have to be a first-time home buyer going the conventional route, right? We'll take a look at the income. Well, you know what? Let's take a quick look at the income. Again, if you're out and about and you want to pull up that matrix, that income matrix, you can Google THDA income limits, right? THDA income limits. And this is what should pull up. Okay, this is our income acquisition limit. Acquisition, but really the acquisition for all 95 counties is 400,000. And then yeah, depending on where the home is situated will dictate the income limit. So let's take a quick look. For the bond program, right? There's 3 steps to determining what the income limit is or how to calculate that. So first part is what county is the home located in? Okay, let's take a look at Davidson. So for Davidson, let's say you're buying, your buyer's buying in Davidson, right? Second column over has an asterisk by it. So that just means certain, pockets of Davidson County buyers don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Okay, and then if there's a T by it, that means homes in those counties, they don't have to be a first-time home buyer at all. That's not a requirement for those counties. Acquisition cost, as I mentioned, 400,000 across the whole state. Second part, going the bond route, right? The Great Choice routes, FHA routes, you do have to determine how many people will live in the home. If it's 1 to 2, it's that 119,760 number. If it's 3 or over, it's that 139,720 number. Okay. And then the third part, who is on the loan application, right? That's whose income you're including towards that 119 or that 139. Okay. So that's the bond calculation, how to calculate income. The conventional, the Freddie Mac, right? You totally disregard that second column because again, they don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Acquisition, that's the same. And then here's the other piece of it. If you're going conventional, you totally disregard the 1 to 2 person household number. Disregard that, go directly to the 3+ number. So going conventional in Davidson County and also surrounding Davidson because they have the same limits. So, one person living by themselves, right? They can make almost 140,000 going THDA using the conventional route. Okay, so that's how you would read this matrix. Let me go back real quick. Let's see. Okay, right. So just some of the guidelines, and I'll get into this, but yeah, I think 2 of the biggest differences going conventional, they don't have to be, first-time home buyer, and the second is that it's automatically at the higher tier regardless of how many people will live in the home. So that's part 2. This is the income matrix. And this is the third part, right? So the down payment assistance, it's a second mortgage. It does have to be paired with a first mortgage. The first mortgage, depending if you're going the bond route, right, or the conventional route, it will be, FHA, VA, USC underwritten if you're going the bond route, or if you're going the Freddie Mac route. I spotted an error. It should be HFA, not FHA. All these alphabets, and they're so similar. FHA, HFA. So that should be HFA Advantage. That is Freddie Mac underwritten. Yeah, but the first THDA, we set the rate. So the rate can't be bought down. As I mentioned, maximum sale price 400,000. Yes, the home, it does have to be owner occupied. The home buyer education piece of it, it's a non-negotiable. But ultimately, THDA, we're the investor. We buy the loan, we buy the file from your company once the loan closes. With the bond program, we keep the file and the servicing. For the conventional, we do sell the file to Freddie. We keep the servicing, right? And again, for all THDA files, we keep the servicing. Our servicer in-house is Volunteer Mortgage Loan Servicing, VMLS. Okay, big picture, that's what it looks like. So yes, the borrower, they would have to qualify for the loan, depending if they're going the Great Choice route, right? FHA, VA, USDA underwritten. Again, we have some overlays, but we're heading more towards FHA guidelines, right? We've taken out a lot of the overlays that we've had in previous years. And of course, if you're going conventional, it would be Freddie Mac, guidelines. We have less overlays going that route.
Hey, Toomey.
And then, yeah.
I have a question. Did you say that if you go the conventional route with the THDA overlay on it, did you say that the income limits are a little bit different, or did I mishear that?
If you're going the conventional route, right? So if you're going that route, yes, you do have to determine where the house is located. Second part of it, it doesn't matter how many people is in the home because you're automatically looking at the higher tier. So
Okay.
it'll be that almost 140, right? 140,000 number. Yes. So that's a big difference.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, definitely. And then again, going back, who is on the loan application, because household income, that's not what we're looking at any longer, right? We're looking at who is on the loan application. That's whose income we're including towards the income limit.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your question. So yeah, two-part, you do have to qualify for the loan. And then yes, you do have to be eligible for the program. And we'll take a look further, just some of the guidelines, some of the eligibility guidelines for the programs that we have. But big picture, this is the life of a THDA file. Lenders, they take the application like they normally do, right? Verify the documents that's needed. And just a reminder, you can lock in the rate. Granted, the rate market isn't as volatile as it has been in the last couple of years, but you have the option to lock in the rate anytime after application, right? Your underwriter, they're underwriting the file according to the FHA, VA, USDA, Freddie's guidelines. They would submit the file to THDA, and our turn time has gotten back down to within 48 hours. Last year was wild. Last year was our biggest year ever, right? We did, I think, over $750 million in loans. But our underwriters, they're looking mainly for eligibility guidelines. They're not re-underwriting the file. They issue the commitments. Y'all would close the loan. Post-closing, we need all of those documents. We buy the file, we buy the servicing, and then your buyer, they make their mortgage payments to our servicing unit, right? So that's what the partnership, what that looks like. So an example, and I know this seems very, very elementary, but I talked to some folks and they couldn't quite picture it. So this is elementary for, I'm sure, most of y'all, but humor me for those that, don't know this part of it. So let's say the sale price is 300,000, right? And your buyer, because 6,000 maybe isn't enough for closing costs and down payments. So they want the 5% option. And just being mindful, we did change that. It's 5% and it is capped at $15,000. So 5% option would be $15,000. If they're going FHA, right, 3.5% required, that would equate to $10,500. So the first mortgage would be $289,500. That's $300 minus the down payment requirement, the $10,500. The second mortgage, again, right, 5% options, $15,000. So $15,000 minus the $10,500, remaining would be $4,500, which may be used for, the origination fee that lenders may charge or closing costs, right? So this is, can be an option. And then if they're going conventional, if they're going the HFA, not FHA, HFA Advantage, again, sale price 300,000. They're going with the 5% option, 15,000. Down payments requirements 3% instead of 3.5, so that's 9,000. First mortgage would be 291, right? That's 300,000 minus the 15,000. Second mortgage, again, 15,000. So 15 minus the 9, remaining is 6,000, which may be used for the closing costs or down payment requirements or, origination fees. Okay, so that's what it can look like. How do buyers get this money? So we'll get into the guidelines a little bit, but it's an hour class, and I do want to talk about just, the marketing piece of it. And granted, the marketing piece, it's totally like a 101 class. It is not, a 301 class. It's very basic, and I just want you to maybe get started, take a look at it, see if it might be able to help you. But if you're looking at the bond program, the government, side of it, great choice, right? Yeah, your buyer, they would have to be a first-time home buyer, because remember, we finance this program with tax-exempt bond funds. So tax-exempt, tax-free. There are IRS guidelines, right? We're using tax-free bond money. So the IRS are like, if you're going to use this money, these are some of the requirements that we have for you to, comply with to be able to access this money. So first-time home buyer, and I'm sure y'all know this, of course, right? But yeah, 3 years. Where have they been the last 3 years, right? Because they cannot have owned a home in the last 3 years to be able to use this Great Choice program. So have they owned in the last 3 years? That's the first part of it. Second, third part of it, did they own it and live in it as their primary residence? Okay, so that's the additional guidelines. If they owned it but didn't live in it as their primary residence, then they could be eligible as a first-time home buyer. And again, it's not household income. It is mortgage revenue bond income. So again, it's, first determine what county the home is. Second, determine how many people will live in the home. Is it the 1 to 2 number, or is it the 3 and over number? Third part of it, go back to the loan application. That's whose income we're including towards that limit. So let's say that you have 2 buyers, right? They both make 100,000. If they were both on the loan application, they would be over our limits and they would not be eligible for this program, right? So maybe one of them has low debt, right? Not as many payments, and they would qualify for the loan by themselves. So just include one borrower in the loan application. Single family residence, right? Owner occupied, that is a requirement, and being mindful of our minimum credit score, max DTI. We did have an update because we updated, the 6% DPA went away, replaced with the 5%, capped at 15,000. Along with that update, we did increase the DTI for our no score borrower. Okay, so if you have 2 borrowers or just one, if one of them is a no score borrower, the DTI was capped prior to February the 1st. It was capped at 36%. So we did increase it to 41% because that definitely makes more sense. Other guidelines with a no score, we still require the 2 months PITI and the 3 alternate trade lines.
Hey, Toomey. We have a question from Troy. He asked about what about the divorcee situation or the single parent aspect of it?
So if someone is getting divorced, right? So due to marital interest, they lived in that home as their primary residence. So they would have to, have another living arrangement for the prior 3 years before they would be considered a first-time homeowner. Right? And the single family question, I'm sorry, I'm unsure about that. Troy, do you have a backstory for that question?
Yeah, Troy, feel free to unmute and ask to me. I might not be relaying the question as good as I should.
or we can circle back, and because I
I don't think
definitely.
he's able to unmute.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Troy, if you want to shoot me like a little short story, just text it in the chat and I'll try to relay that to Toomey.
Yeah, just sorry about that. Yeah, but I mean, if they're not a first time home buyer, right? So how do you pivot? How do you make this
Okay.
work? Oh, what was that,
Can you
Troy?
now? Can you
Yes,
hear me? Yeah.
yes.
So what it was is that when we talked about this before in the past about the first time home buyer aspect of it being
Mm-hmm.
3 years and stuff, and then you had mentioned before, and I could be wrong or misheard when it said that, hey, if they're going through a divorce, like the parent, like the goes with the children go with the parent type thing, and they got a different living situation where they don't have to be a first time home buyer at that point. That's what I meant by the single parent deal or the
Oh, got it, got
divorcee
it.
thing.
Okay. Yeah,
And I could have
so
misheard it a while, but that was a while back ago. So that's all.
right. So right now they're being a little more lenient. Let's say, couple, he owned a home, or let's say she owned a home before they got together, right? They
Mm-hmm.
get married, but then, the home is under her name. They get divorced, right? Prior, it was because they were married, marital interest, he would have had to wait 3 years to be considered a first-time home buyer. So right now, if she owned the home by herself before they got together and got married, um, our, single family ops, they're taking a look at that differently. I don't know all the guidelines, to be honest with you. So if you have a situation like that, we can have them review it, divorce decree and all of that. So that did open up. However, um, if they own a home together, or if they own a home together, yes, it would have to be 3 years until they would be considered a first-time home buyer.
Regardless, okay, that
Yes,
you get it. It's fine. So it's to stay 3 years, regardless they own the home together or whatever. Don't matter if they
right,
broke up, split off, and none of that stuff. It's still
right. Yep, yep.
okay. Thanks.
Yeah, but just be mindful, right? The bond route, the government routes, those two exceptions. If they're a veteran or serving a second tour, they don't have to be a first-time home buyer. And then if they buy in those counties or those pockets where they don't have to be a first-time home buyer. And of course, the third option, if they go conventional, right? The HFA Advantage, that's, our conventional program, they don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like conventional, keep it in your back pocket. If they're not a first time home buyer, regardless of the situation, right? It could be an option because we care, but we don't care where they've been the last 3 years. And again, right, the income part of it, we totally disregard the lower tier. We look at the higher tier, no matter how many people is in the home. So here are just some reminders. Freddie Mac, right, the conventional option that we offer now. Um, Underwriting, the guidelines may be more flexible. They don't have to be a first-time home buyer. And again, the income, it is at the higher tier, regardless of the household number. And also, we don't have our minimum credit score. We don't have our max DTI. Because if you remember with these files, these Freddie Mac files, we do sell it to Freddie. We don't keep it in-house. So if we can get Freddie's accept, we're good. So I've heard stories where, credit scores, it was lower than the 640 that we require on the bond side. Okay. And another cap on the bond side, the government side, right? We cap the acreage. The home is sitting on a max of 5 acres, right? But with the HFA Advantage, that's, we don't have that cap because we're like, hey, if Freddie's going to buy these files, then we're good. We don't have to put these overlays on it. Okay. So if you do have to pivot, be mindful that, you keep these in mind, right? So that is the gist of the THDA down payments program. That was just big picture, big overview. Let's get into the fun part. How do you share this information? Because folks don't know what they don't know. They're not talking to you. They're not talking to their realtors, right? They're probably not even Googling how to buy a home because they're living maybe paycheck to paycheck. They can pay rent, but they think they need a huge amount of money to buy a home. Studies have been done, and the average person, they think they need 18,000 on the average home price, right? What is it in Nashville? 475? That's a huge amount of money, right? So let's get into the marketing piece of it. These are just, some options, right? Take a look at it if you get a chance, because if you know this, but if you're not sharing it, if you're not, increasing your business, it's kind of pointless. And my job is kind of pointless. So I do want you to know this. Great Choice Marketing, this is our webpage. Your lender password is just mortgage, all lowercase. Check it out. Just be mindful. Our communications team, they are focused on our housing conference. When is it? It is the February the 29th, March the 1st next week. It's a sold out event. So if you didn't get your ticket this year, I think we have over 700 attendees. Make sure you put it on your calendar. Lots of good information, right? So back to this webpage, Great Choice Marketing, not quite updated yet, but just some options, some co-branding material that you can use. Hopefully they'll update it as soon as they get done with the conference. But another one, I love Canva. So this is one that I use often. There's a free version to it, but you can create all kinds of documents, right? You can do like I use this to do this presentation that I'm sharing with you right now. Okay, you can do videos, right? You can edit it. More than anything, I think it's just playing with it. For your social media, I think this was a lot of information that I shared with you, and your buyer doesn't need to know all of that all at once, right? So how do you grab their attention? How do you share the information that you know so they can, reach out to you to get more information? When you get a chance, create a free account, play with it a little. They have visuals, my best advice, because I've been using it for 2-3 years now, use their templates because you don't have to create anything from scratch. Also, another thing, they have an AI function. You can tell it what you want it to do. And I don't think it's quite fair to where it creates what you want exactly, right? You do have to tinker with it. Great tool. I totally recommend it. And then I found this. So other tools that, super helpful, right? Canva, definitely, ChatGPT. And I've used the Photoshop, the Adobe Photoshop. But check this out when you get a chance. Some are free, some are not free. So depending on, how much you want to invest, how much you'll use it. But again, you can use ChatGPT to write emails. You can use it to learn something. You can use it to summarize YouTube videos, books, paragraphs. So I think the conversation now is, will AI replace us? And I don't think that'll be the case, right? But I do feel that we could be replaced by people who knows how to use it, because it's a tool, kind of like the DPA options that I presented to you, right? They're options, they're tools, that's it. So how do you use it? So these options, it can save time and effort and energy. So that's why I wanted to share it with you. I use the ChatGPT, of course, Butters and Biscuit, right? Butters is my Chiweenie rescue fail. He has an underbite. He has big personality, but I've used ChatGPT to write his Facebook, posts, right? I've created stories about how he goes walking and he's chasing squirrels and whatnot, and then I created his persona to be like little Tupac, right? Yeah, GPT and other apps that uses AI. I think just, yes, play with it. Make sure that, it's, what is it, that saying, make sure it's a tool and, and not your master, kind of like social media. If you're wasting all of your time scrolling, it's not a tool, right? So be careful when you're using AI tools and options and whatnot. Not sure if y'all saw that case. where a lawyer used it, and ChatGPT cited cases for him that didn't exist. So now this lawyer is in the process of being disbarred because he cited cases that did not exist. Okay. And of course, not posting private information like your social security and whatnot, but tinker with it because and it's not that old. I don't even think it's a couple of years old yet. I just started when my brother's like, hey, check this out. This is so cool. Like, so you hop on and just see how it can save you time and effort, right? So that's ChatGPT. Another tool, another resource that THDA has is is our greatchoicetn.org. This is where you can send your buyers, right? If they want to read up more about our program. So let's say you're talking to someone, they're like, yeah, sounds awesome. Yes, I would love to have this money to buy a house, right? But I want to do my own research. It's like, awesome. Yeah, check out their webpage, greatchoicetn.org. They can read up about our programs. They can find a lender. They can find a realtor. And then, of course, that home buyer education class that they need, that's where it'll be located, right? Great Choice TN, easy to remember, easy to share. So I feel like I've talked fast and we're like not quite at 1040 yet. But this is kind of what I created to the left, right? I feel like this is the basic information that you want to get across to your potential buyers. Hey, there's money, up to $15,000 available, if they're already paying rent, right? But they're struggling to save to buy a home. Again, just enough information. They can buy a home up to 400,000. And again, they can make up to almost like 140,000. So these programs is not just for poor folks. I feel like that's a misconception. It's a myth, right? People have ideas of what they don't know. And I feel like sometimes they don't know at all, right? They don't know what they don't know, or they hear what folks are saying about and they're like, not for me, right? I don't want that government assistance, whatever, right? They just don't know. So this, again, 15,000, you can buy a home up to 400,000. You can make up to almost 140,000 and be able to access this $15,000, right? So I did this off of Canva, but I feel like this is the basic idea. I shared lots of information, and I don't think you necessarily have to, present all of it, right? Just enough to get, them to nibble on this and reach out to you. And of course, we have our Homeownership for Heroes program, because remember, that is available for our military borrowers, but also we open it up to firefighters, police officers, and EMTs. And for them, their rate is always half a point less than for all of our, borrowers on the government side. So again, that's Canva, right? So this is just an example what you can do with it. And I like, lots of white space and enough information for them to click, to where they can message you or reach out to you, right? Here's another one for police officers, right? So how do you add value? Yes, use the social media platform that you are comfortable with. Maybe explore some of these tools, some of these options, right? But I feel like people, it's old school, but people do business with people they like that they know, right? So if you're on these Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? How do you catch their attention? And I think, yes, we have to focus on adding value, right? So entertain, I entertain with my dogs, right? Yeah, this is a part of me when I'm not working, right? So they feel like they know you, they can connect. Yeah, educate them. Hey, this program's available, you can make almost 140,000 and use this program. so that, yeah, ultimately that you can empower them to, towards home ownership. So I think when you're making maybe these flyers, these social posts, always keep in mind what value does it create, right? Yeah, entertain, educate, empower them. So that's you bring again value to the table. Um, and we just saw the Super Bowl, right? So ultimately, what's your game plan? This is like, the call to action. What are you going to do? Otherwise, it's just information tucked away in this PowerPoint that I shared with you. How are you going to use the tools that are out there? How are you going to use THDA's programs to help more people into homes, to help increase your production, right? To build your relationships with your realtor partners, right? So, what game plans do you have for 2024? Because surely it can't be the same as 2023, because that was not an awesome year, right? So, yes, our down payment assistance, we didn't run out of money, right? We did have to pivot a little. Um, we have some tools that are available, for your use, right? I say explore it, check it out, play with it. Also, going back to your realtor partners, we, myself and my team, across the whole state, we can do trainings with your realtor partners. We can do CE classes, or we can stop in at sales meeting because, yeah, ultimately, I'm like, people don't know what they don't know. And again, it's not the market that it was, during the pandemic. So I feel like this is viable. It should be an option. It's a tool. Um, so that is pretty much what I have. Sure, there's questions that I can help manage to answer. Let's see. Let me get out of here. Let me stop sharing for just a second. Okay. Look at this. I'm super impressed. We had 28 registered and we had like 28 people show up.
Yes, we've got 31 people in here right
Oh,
now.
excellent. That
Yeah,
is
I
so
mean, to me, that was amazing. I know I've been sitting here taking notes like crazy, and actually, I just got into one of my loans and changed the product after you said that about the pairing it with the conventional, because that is literally what I needed for this one. So
good. Good,
that
good.
was really good. And I see Will asked if it was recorded. I believe this is. Yep, we have it recorded up at the top, so we should be able to send a link out. I'll get with Caitlin after this so that everyone can have access to it. Does anyone have any
Definitely.
questions while we still have Toomey on here? I forget people can't unmute right now, I don't think either. If you have a question, raise your hand and we can unmute you.
Yes. And also, with the recording, I'll send Caitlin a copy of this deck so you can use it as a resource. Because I'm like, look, I didn't get into all of the details, but, highlighted information that could
No,
hopefully be useful.
it was very, very useful. I just got excited about it because I thought this might have been a dead end one that I was dealing with. So I just thank you. I'm not kidding. So I've been over here typing. So hopefully I'm sure some other people got the same information. And it's always just good to have our memory jogged with THDA, I think, especially with how things are changing and from the 6% to the 5%. It's always good. And also to have you as a resource that we can always reach out to. So, and it doesn't look like we have any questions. Anything else you want to add on to me?
No, no, no. I just really appreciate this opportunity, right? Because again, I'm like, look, there's this pot of money, this down payment money. How do you get to it? I say pivot, like know it enough. So like, just now with your file, right? Okay, that's not going to work. Is there another way to get to this money?
Yeah.
So hopefully I just presented options, right? And then it's like
Yes.
it's on you to figure out how to get to it. There's not just one way to it because again, all your bars they look different, right? Income situation and all of that. So if you're thinking no, reach out, let's talk through it. Maybe there's another way to think about it, right? So
It's about getting creative. You got to get creative a little bit. And I see
yes,
that
yes.
Andrew Fine has a question. Caitlin, do you mind unmuting him so he can speak? I'm not sure if I'm able to unmute him. Oh, I am.
Hey there. Hey Tammy. Oh, Toomey. Hey Toomey. Hey Casey.
Hey,
What I
Andrew.
Hello.
one comment is I'm so impressed when I meet you guys in like social settings and now professionally, just to hear you both just give us like wonderful information. So thank you for your, just being experts in the field. So, which is so impressive to me. So the other thing, Tubi, sorry, my HR person's on the other line, Tubi. So we have to talk offline because, I don't understand how you have 57 dogs, like, all the time. So, as a dog rescuer myself, they always stay, they don't leave. So we need to chat about that also. So thank you for your information and go Magic Mortgage. Go Magic Mortgage.
Magic Mortgage. Future leaders. We're coming. I see some future leaders people in here. So
I can't wait to see a winner from that. I'm excited.
You're seeing the winners right now. If my camera was on, you'd be seeing the winners. So you can see Casey. So thank you. Thank you, Tim.
thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right. Anybody else? Anything else you want to add to me?
No, I feel like it's good. Y'all know where to find me. Go Team Hot Sauce.
Sorry,
You know
I'm hosting
what?
this. Rick, I have the right to kick you out of this
Yeah,
meeting.
no hot sauce talk here.
I'm so sad that we didn't have this team competition when I went through. So I'm really bummed.
For anyone who's not up to date with our Tennessee MBA, where our future leaders class, we have group presentations where we're doing our own, it's like a fake mortgage company, and we're assessing, risk and everything like that, and seeing what our problem is and seeing what we're going to do about it. So we have a little friendly competition going on, and me and Andrew are on a team together with Magic Mortgage, and then Rick down there talking about Team Hot Sauce. We don't need that today. We don't need it, but
Yes.
I'll let y'all know who the real winners are on
Yeah.
the next webinar.
And also, Casey, right? I don't know when that opens for new future leaders applicants. I don't know
I
the
don't
date.
know. I'll get with, I'm sure Tiffany
Yeah.
or I'm sure someone in here may know. Liz might know. I think Liz was in
I
here.
can talk to Retta too. She would probably be on board with it.
Deborah Gadberry.
There you go.
Unmute.
Yeah. I mean,
1 second.
We will
Okay.
find out. Don't worry.
but
There
it's
you go,
an
Deborah. I
amazing
think you can
program,
unmute
and
now.
y'all need to apply.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so typically it's after we go through the installation of the new year, which is in April in Memphis at our conference. And then after that conference, we'll open up, usually in July is when we start, June or July, we start the new recruitment for future leaders. But keep that in mind, about April, you need to really be thinking about it and let us know.
Okay, perfect. We'll make sure to keep getting the
Mhm.
word out too on all of our meetings that we have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, Timmy, amazing as always, and I think everyone else got a lot out of it as well. Hopefully, this one will turn into a closed deal for me because I'm on like cloud 9 right now that I think I found a solution. So,
Awesome
but
news.
thank you again for joining us, and we love you so much over here with National Mortgage Bankers Association. So I look forward to seeing everyone with all the events this upcoming month that we have. I know we've got the gala coming up and things of that nature. So I look forward to seeing everybody. But like I said, if you have any ideas or any questions or just want to get more involved, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email, anything like that. I'm always available. So don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And in the meantime, everyone have a great week. Bye, guys.